Okay, we are live on YouTube, going live on LinkedIn, hopefully. Okay, we are live on LinkedIn. So, hello, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And welcome to day 4 of Building Societal live and in public. Really looking forward to this one today, getting into the swing of doing live streams. If you haven't ever joined one of these streams before, just to give you a little bit of background, I am trying to build a new business from scratch, from just the idea all the way through to getting it live and on the market, primarily to help small charities. I'm on a drive in my own life to do more to help people. And one of the things that I always wanted to do was to help the people who are helping people. So that was the drive. We're going to see if we can do that, turn it into anything. I wanted to do this in a live stream for 2 reasons. One, it helps hold me accountable. If I'm doing this in public rather than in my little room by myself, then it just makes sure that I am staying persistent and not making excuses for myself. But also, I think because this particular industry that I want to help has such a meaningful and dramatic impact on people's lives, from very simple, basic things all the way through to very, very serious, heavy topics. It felt wrong to do this behind closed doors. I want to build this business as openly and as transparently, as safely as I possibly can. So a live stream is a good way to do that. So today, what are we talking about? We are indeed talking about customer research. So the last time out, what we did was we finished off, at least for now, the challenge that we're trying to solve, of which this is probably the main point, right? Just small charities really, really struggle to invest in the technology that they need to do more, to help more people. And we took a look through all of the reasons that was happening, from operational complexities in small charities to the reality of actually building a software company and what that means in terms of how you have to charge or not charge. And we looked at strategy, financials, and finally we built out this sort of provocation for ourselves, right? To say, what is it that we're really trying to do? And that is to build a model. So this is both the product, but also how we build the business for delivering completely free, purpose-built, zero commitment modular software for the leaders, employees, and volunteers of small, that is sub 1 million, registered charities in England and Wales, in a way that simplifies their operations, eliminates inefficiencies, and addresses their lack of time, resources, and expertise, so that, peeking behind my camera here, they can focus on their core mission of delivering meaningful, life-changing support to beneficiaries in need in the pursuit of empowering communities, enabling vulnerable individuals to live healthier, more connected, and fulfilling lives. So I'm going to try and come back to this statement every single time I do one of these live streams, because I think this is the point, right? If we're not doing something that does these things, we're doing it slightly wrong. However, we moved on from challenge development and we got onto customer research. And what we did in the last live stream was just some very, very basic thinking on what might we segment our market. And we talked a little bit about segmentation being, really critical, because if you don't know who it is that you're building for, if you don't know how to sort of chop up your market and understand the different use cases that exist in different contexts, if you don't understand the people that you're trying to help, like, forget having the idea for what the product should do, forget having going to market, marketing, sales, everything else, right? You're probably going to fail unless you get very, very lucky. So understanding your potential customers, that market space, is critical. And for me, I have not worked directly for a nonprofit, not for a charity before. So it's even more important that I understand what it is that I'm walking into. I think, coming from a very different background, you'll assume that things are going to be the same. And then often you walk in and you find, oh, wow, this is really, really different in a way that you hadn't necessarily expected before. So we were onto this customer research. We were looking at segmentation. And I just had, the last time out, a series of very basic notes And so I promised that my homework would be to tidy that up, get that into tables, do a little bit more research as to where we could find the sources of data to be able to segment. So that's what I've done. Definitely not finished. A lot more left to do. But I think we landed at sort of different potential groups of segmentation. So one of them was by just the characteristic of the charity. So what they do, where they are, how they're set up, whether or not they're grant makers, whether they have other regulators, all of that sort of basic, what is this charity? And the reason that that's important, if we look at things like age, a brand new charity who's just got started out is going to have very, very different problems to a charity that's been around for 100 years and has hundreds of people, if not millions, working on these causes. So some of these characteristics are important. And then later on, when we decide, hey, where do we want to start? Who probably needs our help the most? But particularly if we're just starting to build out our product and doing something very, very small at the start, who are we in the position to help immediately, right? Rather than, okay, we're going to build this up over years and years and years. So all of this stuff helps. The other thing is we looked at geographic characteristics. So, and this is really about where does this charity operate? Who are they trying to help? Where are the people that they're trying to help? Either very, very locally, because you get some charities that are really down to a village or a town or a cause in a village, all the way up to, hey, we just help everybody in the world. We happen to be located here. So this is more about where they tend to operate. We also looked at financial data. Now, we said that we're really aiming to help charities here that are earning below £1 million in income per year. A lot of them get stuck at that level. And this is in terms of their average gross income. But I think there are lots of different ways to look at segmenting by income, right? Is income going up? That suggests the charity is growing and is going to have different problems in the future. Is it going down? That could be because it's winding down and it's done its purpose. Or maybe it was set up for a specific period of time that's not going to exist anymore. Well, why are we going to go and help charities that are not going to exist tomorrow? Unless, of course, you really want to exist tomorrow. So declining incomes might also suggest an inability to help the beneficiaries that they're trying to help. And it could be for a number of different reasons, right? For those of you that have worked in any kind of business whatsoever, there are always reasons for business going down. But in small charities in particular, imagine if they're just getting 1 or 2 grants. Imagine a previous UK government had said, this is really important, we're going to fund this, fund this, fund this, and all of your services built on this one grant. And then suddenly they say, well, we don't care about that anymore. Grant goes away, income dives, it's problematic, right? So it doesn't necessarily tell us the why. And I'm a big believer that data is incredible for telling you what. But I should say number-based data is incredible for telling you what. That's the quant. But I think you also need qualitative data to understand why, because there are often so many reasons for a number going in a particular direction, and making assumptions as to what's happening to that number is incredibly dangerous. So this is segmentation primarily based on sort of number and standardized data. But we're going to have to be careful as we go through this not to make too many assumptions. Okay, so we also talked about maturity level. So, does the organization have a really, really solid strategy and mission? Are they clear on that? Have they enabled all of their volunteers? I think this is actually quite hard to get data on. You can get it firsthand, but to get the maturity data of 170,000 charities is unlikely. What we might have to do at some point is dig into what does a charity maturity level for England and Wales look like? Does that exist? Do we have to make that? And will that really impact what it is that we're trying to do? What goes into that? I think this one might be an important one for us to figure out at some point. but we may not be able to get data behind it, right? This may be as we're talking to charities, as we're looking to understand what it is that they need, we might designate them a maturity level to help us standardize whether or not they're a good fit for us at the stage and the maturity that we're at. But I suspect that it might not be something that we're able to segment by. We'll see. We also finally talked about people. So, how many people do you have working for you, both employees, volunteers? How many trustees do you have? How many people are working on this problem with you? So, what I've done in the short term, as much as I could with the time that I had last week, was try to see if there is even any data for each of these things. Some of them were a definite yes, very easy to find. Some of them I haven't got the chance to dig into yet. Some of them we sort of already know, unless one of you can find a magical data source for me, they're not accessible. But I found two sources, I would say, of data, and I feel very fortunate in this case because the Charity Commission of England and Wales just has phenomenal data. So this is, I suspect, going to be slightly easier than it would be if you are building out different types of businesses, but we'll see how it goes. So there are two sources that I found that just had a heap of information. The first one was sort of this register full download data extract that comes from the Charity Commission. Anybody can get access to this. You don't need to log in. It's public. And the cool thing about this is they provide a daily extract. So this is a nice source. I hope this is around forever. I may well tell them what I think about the data extract because I think this is a really valuable source. And let's assume the business gets going. It's also one that we can refresh and keep up to date, maybe on a 6 to 12 month basis. So this is really valuable, and then all sorts of data I found in here, from annual return histories to how the charity is classified to governing documents. Really a lot of very public and accessible information. And this is the upside and the downside with regulated industries. So a lot of the time when you're working in a regulated space, it's really hard because you've got to comply and help those organizations comply with the regulation in that industry. However, because it's regulated and because its rules are more stringent, often the data is a little bit more standardized, and then the data is a little bit more accessible. So pros and cons, they can be very hard markets to work in. They can be very hard markets to build businesses in, but you have a bit more data and a bit more insight to learn from. So this was really good. One of the things that I like about it, rather than letting me assume what each of the pieces of data in here means, they also have, if you are nerdy like me, they also have very clear definitions. Now, I'm a big fan of definitions. I won't get deep into that, but when we talk to each other, when we choose words, we often mistranslate, right? So if I have a deep 20-year experience in something and I use one word to represent that experience, that flies through the air, it enters your brain, it runs through the experience you have, and you say, oh, I assume that Dan means this when he's saying this. And you might be right, or you might be completely wrong. So being able to define what you mean by short words is really important. And so I was very glad and happy and thankful to find very good descriptions. I've said this before, but so many of the resources on gov.uk are just phenomenal from a data perspective. So this is going to really help us. So rather than guessing, for each of these tables or each of these files, and I can get JSON or text, it's a CSV, I think, we have full data definitions, and we're going to use them today. The other thing that they have, and I don't know how much duplication there is in here, there may be quite a lot. We have an API, so rather than just downloading a big chunk of data, I can use their API to go and question that data. And you can see there's a lot of the same stuff in here, right? We've got different bits and pieces, but it looks like I can add parameters. So this is me saying, I would like to get all charity details. but only for a charity with a registered number of X. So the request parameters are kind of like filters. You're saying, hey, I want all your data, but only when these things are hit. So it looks like, and I haven't gone through this much, but we have quite a lot of stuff here, right? Region, operations, check primary grants, where there are charities per primary purposes, grant making. So again, there's a lot of information that we might be able to pull out of this API. And once again, much like the data chunks, we also have this really great reference table. So what I like in this, and this was quite cool, I hadn't thought about it this way. So classifications, I suppose, do we have that here? No. Okay, so what is this? Reference data. The classification system is split into 3 elements. What does a charity do? So that'll be these. This is probably its charitable purpose, I believe. Who does the charity help? I think this is really cool. And so this shows where segmentation really helps, right? We're assuming that a lot of charities are there to help people, and they are, but a lot of charities are there to help other charities. And in fact, when we think about what Sociatall will end up being, we will be there to help other charities or voluntary bodies, right? We are trying to help everybody else. So this is useful actually for me thinking about how we set this up if we go down the route of a charity, and then how as well. So I won't go through all of these, but again, a really good explanation here of references and what you can actually get and what you can do with each of these endpoints. So again, I feel very lucky that all of this exists because it means that we can be quite specific. Okay, so what are we going to do with all of this information? That is a very good question. Let's have a look. Just checking on chat. Don't see anything. Cool, good. Okay, so we are going to go to, let's go back to our site. What are we going to actually do today? And again, I've talked about being transparent. So a lot of these live streams are very unplanned. I know roughly what I'm going to do today, but I don't know exactly. So let's think this out loud and be a little bit critical with it. So we talked about definitions, and I had added this definition column in. But I think what's interesting is I'm still using some terminology that isn't being used in that data. And I want to try and get as close as I can to that. So we're going to live stream today till about 12 o'clock. So we've got 40 minutes. What are we going to do? So I think I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 things today. And we'll do this maybe with some smaller data sets, just so that I can try and make this stream useful. Because I have a feeling that a lot of this is going to be executing research around data, which isn't going to be particularly interesting. I don't think you'll be able to learn anything. And I think once I've done it once, it's just going to be repetition. So this might be the part where I figure out how I'm going to do stuff. And then I will do stuff sort of in the background, and so you don't have to watch that. Okay, so I think we're going to do, let's do 3 or 4 things. So first of all, let's make sure that we've got the type here correct. Let's make sure that's a good name. And let's make sure that we've got a good definition for what that is and perhaps how we might think about segmenting by these areas. And I think what we can do as well for charity characteristic today is talk about the impact level that this might have on our strategy. And I don't know what impact level means yet. It might just be a simple 1, 2, 3, small, medium, big. But do we think this is really going to impact how we think about serving charities and how we think about what we build for charities, or is this just a, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, or maybe we might want to merge this with something else? So we'll try and get definition and impact level and accessible fleshed out for the charity characteristic table. We'll maybe spend 20 minutes doing that. And then I think we can pick one of these and start to build out and actually start to segment, right? Because that's the point, is how are we going to segment? Okay, so let's do that. So let's see what we've got. So we've got registration status. So let's see if I can get it in here. Okay, so we do have this. I think the name is fine. The charity registration status indicates whether a charity is registered or removed. Okay, well, that's easy and simple. So let's switch back to our code here. And we're going to have registration. We're going to add a definition in here. Whether a charity is registered or removed. I don't really think that we need to add anything more on that. Now, impact level, I mean, I don't think we need to segment, to be honest. I think all we need to make sure is that they are registered, right? There's no point in doing work for a removed charity. So I guess in a way, the impact level should be high, right? Like, we don't want to deal with anybody that is unregistered. So let's do that. Let's do high. Okay, let's switch back now. Not there. Let's just make sure. Oh, you didn't see the screen. That's annoying. I don't know why it didn't change. Or maybe it did. Did. Cool. Okay. So then we're talking about legal structure. So what did I mean by legal structure? I think I meant how the charity was set up. So let's see what we have in our definitions, because I don't think... Oh, the charity government table provides details of the structure of the charity. Did I say that it was in there? I said it was in charities. So let's look at charities and the governing document. Well, we're at the governing document, so let's have a look. So we have the charity number, charitable objects, and the area of benefit. The structure of the charity governing document. Okay, well, that's not the governing document itself, but the details of the original and any subsequent amendments. Fine. So I don't think I'm going to find it in here. So I think I was probably right the first time, which was, we said we were going to look in this charity table. So what have we got? The organization number, name, the type of the charity displayed. Only the main parent charity will have a value for this field. So it could be charity type. I don't actually think that is. I think charity type is... Yeah, look, only the main linked charity number 0. So I don't... I'll double check this, but I don't think it's charity type. Registration status, date of registration, removal, reporting, income, address, lots of details here. It's good, isn't it? In administration, CDF or CIF, charity is CIO. I don't know if it is here, you know. So I am going to change the legal structure, I think. Although maybe I'm not, because what we're talking about doing here is helping registered charities. I'm going to come back to this one. So I'm going to have a think outside of this session as to what I want from this legal structure. Well, in fact, let's add a definition in here for now. Why did we originally put it in there? So let's go back to our code. Let's have a look at the definition. So the definition for legal structure that we wanted was, well, like, why fact high? So the level actually impacts the terms in which the organization can operate legally. So I think what I meant by this was, if you have a CIO versus a CIC versus a sort of an unincorporated group, right? What you can do, what you have accessible to you, the type of grants that you can get, how you are structured, what you have to report, all of this kind of changes. So I think that legal structure is still correct. I think that's the right term for it. But I'm not convinced that the Charity Commission data, at least as far as I can see, has everything in the front end. So I'm going to change yes to partial. And I'm going to take a note for myself to dig that up. This is the joy of doing things live. You never know what you're going to find or not find. So that's fine. So legal, find sources. And there might be all sorts, right? So it could be that we're going to find this on Companies House. We might have to combine a couple of data sets together. But I do think that's going to be really important because, I could build a whole bunch of things for charities to do of like, hey, you can go out and get grants and get this. And if you're not a particular legal structure, actually you won't be able to. So I do think that this has a massive impact on what we're going to be able to find. Let me just double check. Don't think we have any chat going on at the moment. No, we don't. Good. Cool. Okay. Let's come back to this. Okay, so age. Okay, so this one should be easy. We definitely have age, although I don't think it's actually called age. I'm going to say there's a registration date, I believe, somewhere. Date of registration. So I think we're going to have to the date the charity was registered with the Charity Commission. And I think I'm going to keep this to years. Right, so, oh, sorry, I didn't change this back. So I'm just looking at the date the charity was registered with the Charity Commission. So I think age is still kind of close. Maybe we call this years of operation. I like that better. We're going to take the definition. Did I switch this back? Yes, so confusing. And I think here we need to add the segmentation level, right? So whether a charity is registered or removed, segmentation types will be registered or removed. I'm going to come back to legal structure when I get there. The date the charity was registered with the Charity Commission. So we're actually going to do the number of years the charity has been operating. And I think this might be a little bit arbitrary for now, but I think it's good to remember what we're going to do. So let's just make up a segmentation, but this could change once we actually look at the data. There might be more obvious groupings. that we can do that may tie into different periods of history. Right, we're going to have, I suspect, a lot of charities who have a set number of years based on, hey, we've been around since the charity register existed. So the number of years the charity has been, let's say, registered. And we are going to do segmentation types. Ooh, let's go under 1 year. 1 to 3 years. 3 to 5. 5 to 10. 10 to, I don't know, 25, and 25 plus. So I have no idea if this is right. I think the impact level here is medium, right? Because, again, if you've been around for a very small number of years, you're going to have a different set of challenges than if you've been around forever. If you've been around forever, but your income level isn't really changing, your expenditure isn't really changing, that suggests that you've sort of matured, or you may suggest, can't assume. But I do think that impact, particularly when combined with other data points, we might be able to infer or have sort of, I wonder about this. Okay, so the number of years the charity has been registered. Segmentation, bands. Bands is much better than types, isn't it? How are we doing for time? Okay, we've got another half an hour. I think we're good for time. So let's go back. Area of benefit. Area of benefit. What did I mean by that? I've got governing document, so let's have a quick look back there. Area of benefits. They do not have to define an area of benefit in the governing document. Am I going to take that one out? Because we still have a lot of geography, right, where they work. Yeah, I might take this one out because I think we've got a lot of geography. So let's remove this. Okay. Charitable purpose. Okay, well, that one is easy. I know that one is definitely there. That's one of the most important things in charities. So, charity purpose. Where are you? Nope. Nope. There are a lot of linked charity numbers. Surely I'm missing it somewhere. Surely charity purpose is here. Charity number, name, type. I know I've seen this somewhere. You know, I wonder whether that's what charity type was. Right, I'm just going to have a quick look. I've actually downloaded some data. You may not, you won't be able to see this, but I'm just going to have a quick look and open the raw data file just to double check whether that is the right thing. Charity type. No, it is not. Let's see if I can find in the data where. Must be somewhere. What am I getting wrong? That is just the description. Am I crazy? Area of operation. I wonder if it was in that one. I wonder if that was not geography after all. Open. Area of operations. Organization number. No, that's definitely region. What am I missing? You know, the crazy thing is, I've literally seen this somewhere. This is all income. So it's not going to be in there. Income. Area of operation. Yeah, no, that's all geography. Oh, classification. Ah, maybe. There we go. Classification type. So let's see if it's in there. So this is in the classification data table. I'm just having a quick look in the data that I've downloaded. Classification. Am I an idiot? Did I already do this? You know what's amazing is sometimes you do the hard work already, and then you forget that you've done the work, and then you find the work. Wow, that was really, really dumb. I just wasted 5 minutes. Thank you, old Daniel, for doing the work, and sorry for wasting your time. Okay, so let me just double check what they actually have in there, because that definition to me didn't quite match up with the data I think that I saw in the spreadsheet. Yeah, so in the charity classification document, the standard is the what, and I think that that is the charitable purpose. So, for example, watch, education, arts, environment. Okay, so this is, let's just update this so that we know where to find that data in the future. So that is what. This impact level is definitely high. And we're going to have a definition. So let's come back to this. Not back to black. Get out of my head, Amy Winehouse. You are not welcome here. Okay, charitable purpose, classification type, what the charity does. And we've got classification description. Okay, good. So we can go back. Getting a little bit lost in all my windows here. What the charity does. What? I'm going to change that. I will double check this, but I think this is what charitable purpose the charity serves. The segmentation is simply going to be charitable purpose. The reason that I put high here, some of these are going to have really big impact again on what the charity has to do. So, for example, if you have a charitable purpose tied to working with children, you have a lot of safeguarding to do because you're not dealing with adults who may be able to look after themselves, right? You're potentially dealing with some of the most vulnerable members of society. And in England and Wales, at least, it's even more regulated with really good reason. So we're going to leave that one as high. Okay, how are we doing in time? You know what? So we are getting on to, we've done this for 20 minutes. That took a little bit longer than I thought because I'm dumb. But I want to pick one of these. Let's just save this. See how this looks. It might look horrible. Ew, yuck. What a gross table. I can expand that. That's fine. I'll do that afterwards. Fix table. Right, but you can see why this is important to do, because even as we're segmenting, I feel like I'm learning more and I'm thinking through questions that I might want to ask in the future. Even now, I'm starting to think, what do I want to combine here? What's relevant? Do I just want to go after registered, just getting started, particular charitable purpose at start? Like I don't know. I think these are really good questions, but it helps me to pare down who it is that I'm trying to help. We want to help small charities, so that's easy. There are 170,000 of them, or at least a lot of them. But we can't help 170,000 charities on day one, right? So where are we going to start? Okay, so I actually want to do some segmentation here. Where are we going to start? I might do other regulators because I know what this means. So other regulators, this actually, I think, is defined as well. Regulators, there we go. So I think this is quite interesting. Based on what the charity has reported or what the Charity Commission knows, it also tells you whether the charity is regulated by anybody else. Right? So do they just have to deal with the Charity Commission, or are they regulated by 70 other places as well? And so what's really nice in here, this actually gives the regulator name. I don't know if this is complete, to be honest with you. It might just be, it might cover more the government regulatory bodies than it does, let's say, standards bodies or other things that a charity has to comply with. So I have a feeling that this won't be complete, but again, it's another good way for us to segment. So this one's easy. Other regulators that apply to the charity, again, because it's going to change what they have to do. The other regulators that the charity is responsible to. Segmentation banned by regulator. Okay. And that one's, I don't know. In fact, I don't feel like that's high. I don't feel it's low or negligible either, so we'll put medium. And we'll just try to do this. Okay. So let's go back. Hopefully. To this page. Yeah. Where am I? Dead air. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a whole comment on Kik. How do I learn codes in Code Studio? I don't know if you are here, DA511N, but if you are, I will try and answer that question for you. It depends on what part you're talking about. If you're asking, hey, how do I use VS Code? There are so many YouTube videos. VS Code itself actually has some really incredible resources as well. So honestly, go onto YouTube, go onto Microsoft VS Code's documentation that will tell you how to use that. There are so many resources out there. It's a really, really popular thing to use. If you're looking at like, how do I learn to code? Look, I'm a hobby developer. I taught myself. I'm by no means an engineer. I started out by just buying myself a couple of books to understand the basics. I used a website called Code Academy to help me get started. That was really useful. And then honestly, the thing that I did most was just start building stuff based on what I learned. So the first thing I think I ever built was just a little Hello World application where I could type in Hello World and then it came up. If you're asking a different question of hey Dan, what do you code in or use? What languages do you use? For front-end web applications, knowing the basics of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS is important. But then you can start to use different frameworks as you get used to those. So I use SvelteKit, I use Tailwind, I use something called Skeleton. This is all on the front end. If I'm doing stuff in the back end, I use Rust and I use Python. Do I use anything else? Probably. I'm probably forgetting things, but that's about it. Okay. So I hope that helps. If you're even still here. It says I've got no viewers. That's funny. All right, let's get back to it. So what we want to do is think about how we want to segment and what we want that data to look like. So let's think this through, and let's have a look at the data first of all that's available to us, because I think that will change it. So I have a spreadsheet. You're not going to be able to see this because I'm not sharing my screen yet, but it has the regulator name. So it's got the registered charity number and the regulator name. So we've got things like Homes England, the Care Quality Commission, otherwise known as the CQC, the Financial Conduct Authority, and Ofsted, that will be for education. Healthcare Inspectorate Wales. So I think what we want to do with this data is very simply somewhere in here. I'm just going to do this very roughly at the moment. So this is going to look really, really ugly, but that's okay. Hopefully you can see these updates. If for any reason you can't see the updates that I'm making in VS Code, it could be because of how VS Code works with OBS. So I'll have a look at the live stream afterwards and see. But what I'm doing at the moment is just creating another section of the website and recording this, what I go through, right, so that I can reference it in the future. So we were going to call this segmentation by other regulator, and we're probably going to want to have a table, but for now I'm just going to keep notes for myself. So build a table with the following regulators. Okay, then I'm just going to create an unordered list. My webcam is sort of down here because it's a nicer angle to be able to speak to you and then look at the screen. But unfortunately, it's right where I'm typing. So let me just scroll this up. There we go. That was easier. So an unordered list, for those of you that are uninitiated, basically just bullets. So you can have an unordered list, UL, or I could make this an OL, which would be an ordered list, which would be numbers. So bullets or numbers. Or numbers? Went a little bit German there. Okay, so let's make a few of these. And I think this is just going to be a simple count, right? So we're going to build a table with a count of the following regulators. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back into my data table. And I'm going to, sorry that you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to filter these just so that I can see who's there. So we've got Homes England and CQC. We have the Financial Conduct Authority. Let's call it the FCA because I know what that means. And Ofsted. CA, and Ofsted. We have, looking at the wrong thing now. Do we have anything else? That can't be all. Oh, the Healthcare Inspectorate Wales. You would think that I would know them, wouldn't you? That feels like they're quite big, but I do not. So let's add them. So we're going with the Healthcare Inspectorate Wales. I have a feeling that that might be it in terms of other Oh, the care inspector at Wales as well. Should have definitely known that one, because them I do know. Inspectorate Wales. What I'm doing is just scrolling down here to see if I can see anybody else at all. Oh, we've got Eston. Sorry, Welsh people, you are going to absolutely mock me for my pronunciation of that. I'm sure that's not right. This is Her Majesty's Inspectorate for Education and Training in Wales. Oh man, this is shows how uninitiated I am. And again, right, this is segmentation. This is why we do this, to really understand. We've also got the Welsh Government social landlords. So interesting that this is so segmented by England and Wales. I never knew. I always thought that this would be a bit more joined up. But it's not. I'm learning so much. Okay. Feel like this is, I'm not seeing, as I'm scrolling down the thousands of records, I don't think I'm seeing anybody else here, so I think that is probably about it. I will have another look after the live stream, but I think we're probably done. So let's just close that. I don't need to save that, and let's take out this last line. And we're just going to make sure that that has saved in the way that I want it to. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so to be honest, I think we're probably going to end the live stream there. I think we've made some good progress, right, in terms of how we're going to do this. So we've gone through each of these lines. We've made sure that to tidy up the type, we've made sure to define what our segmentation bands are going to be, and we've assigned an impact level to them. And what we've started to do is think about the shape of the data, albeit this one is going to be very, very easy. I'm just going to have a count of the number of times that these appear. I don't know what that means. Maybe if Homes England is a huge one, that would suggest that we have a lot of charities to do with housing, which wouldn't be completely surprising, right? When you think about poverty or people who have physical or mental health challenges or problems, that can have a massive impact on your ability to earn, your ability to live in places, the housing that you need. So it wouldn't surprise me if these two were two of the top ones, but we'll find out. So I'm going to build that table. And I think we've talked about, how do we think about potentially combining these? So let's talk about my homework and what I'm going to go away and do before the next live stream, which I think I'm going to do the next one towards the end of the week, because this feels like I'm going to have quite a lot of manual labor or work to do. So let's have a think. I need to build out for each of these lines what I've already done here. So let's call that tidy segmentation rows. So the next time you join me, all of them should be like this. For anything that I have partial data for, I need to do a better job of defining that and maybe listing other data sources and figuring out how I bring them together. So resolve or not partial data. I need to determine how I'm going to segment, but I think we've covered that already. And then where possible, I'm going to build out the segmentation. So actually use data to segment. Okay, so and what I might do as well here, I may end up just for fun and for a hobby, because this has got to be fun, I may end up finding how I can use AI to more rapidly deal with this data. I know that AI is really good at processing data and processing spreadsheets. I just personally have not used it for that yet. So maybe what I'll do is if I do end up doing that and figuring out how, the next time I'll report on using AI for segmentation, right? When you've got unstructured data, there must be a lot of resources that exist for that. Okay, so I think this is good, right? This week, by the end of this week, what we want to do is be finished with segmentation. So I think that what that means is getting our definitions done, getting our segmentation bands, figuring out the data, building all of the segments, and I would say probably having a hypothesis for different types of segments that we might want to combine. And that's probably going to be enough, right? There are always going to be more ways to segment, and there are always going to be more ways to segment by personas or by what you're trying to do. But I think the point of this as we go through and develop this business is really to get started. And I think that this will be enough by the end of this week for us to have learned a lot more about our market, to be much more enabled to talk to our market in terms that they're familiar with, rather than it just being my old private company speak. And also to identify, a couple of just starting ideas as to how we need to think, particularly when we're combining that with our provocation. So you can see already, we started off this live series with just an idea, and the idea was we want to help charities, and we're starting to build this into something that has more legs, right? That has really, really good research. And this will continue to build out. We'll do this with roles in those charities. We'll build out some personas. We'll go on to understanding who else is in the market trying to serve these organizations and personas already. And then once we've done that, then we'll start talking about ideas and strategy and how we do the business. But I think for this month, definitely for the remainder of January, probably for a lot of February as well, we are very much going to be concentrating on customer research and vendor research. If we can do these three in 2 months, and we can start to develop our ideas and strategy in the next 2, that gives us a lot of time for the rest of the year to go out and actually do the things. And so by the end of this year, we'll know, hey, is this a good idea? Is this a terrible idea? Is this feasible? Is this possible? But we'll also have given ourselves a really good template to do this with other businesses that we might start to do in the future. All right, my voice is starting to fade. I will. I'll do what I can to do these on a more regular basis in the future. Thank you all, as ever, for being involved, and see you on the next one.